What is going on, everybody? And today, welcome to episode 5 of Inside the Sidelines with your host, me, Mitch Smith, and my guest today, another recurring guest, is Kevin. Wanted to go out and explain myself of why the lack of absence and lack of videos. I do apologize. I know it's been a while since week 8, so it's been a couple weeks for Inside the Sidelines. Here I last like before after the trade deadline, I got really sick. Couldn't really talk, couldn't really do a whole lot with being sick. I had a very, very bad cold, so I got over it, and then I just got slammed with real life. So real life stuff really got kind of hit. So a little bit of apologies for the fans of Inside the Sidelines. I know my audience have been asking for where have you been at? What's happening? Is everything okay? Has the channel died? Kid you not, the channel has not died yet. But we will be continuing on with the series. We have plenty of content coming along here with Inside the Sidelines. I will get to that at the very end. But I wanted to welcome Kev today for this Inside the Sidelines show. Kevin, thank you very much for joining me today and going on with episode 5. Last time we seen you, we talked about a little bit about the football. So are you ready to get into this and talk a little bit about every game this week?
Every game, yeah, let's do this, man. I'm ready. I'm pumped.
All right. Well, let's get into it. As you know, Kevin, as me and myself know, me and you are kind of the big college geeks in the group. So wanted to start off by talking about a little bit of college football and their playoffs. What's going on right now? What seems to be happening around inside the college football world. And the latest poll has everybody kind of going a little bit different directions, Kev. So a little bit about everything. So the latest rankings of what people have had out and a little bit of projections are Oregon 1, Texas 2, Miami 3, Arizona State to round out your top 4. That's all declared as your Big 10, SEC, ACC, and Arizona State being your Big 12 champions, round out your first round buys. Ohio State, Notre Dame, Penn State, Georgia, Tennessee, SMU, Indiana, and Boise State rounding up your top 12 here, Kev. Wanted to get your intake on that and what team surprises you the most to be in this conversation, to be even considered a playoff team. Now, obviously, we have some SEC teams in there. We have about 3 in there, kind of representing the college football world. Obviously, as everyone knows, SEC kind of like the NFL. That's the top tier leagues in the college football world. A couple Big Ten schools in there representing Big Ten. Actually, they're tied with the SEC with three contenders. Then your ACC running out with 2 independents. Obviously, that is Notre Dame, and then obviously you got your Big 12, which is Arizona State, Mountain West, getting some love too with Boise State. So, what do you think of the college football playoffs as of right now? Do you see it changing? Because obviously, college football is very unclear, I should say, at this point, because everybody's wrapping up their season. Let's say we're going into the final week of the season, and all the championship games are going to be happening very soon. So, a couple of notes to really kind of do this as is. SEC will be determined by Texas and A&M, and Texas A&M. The winner will face Georgia in the SEC championship game for there. I know that's the only one I know of as of right now. Obviously, I think I can put Oregon and Ohio State back to the rematch, part 2 for that Big Ten championship. The Big 12 is kind of up in the air. We'll get to that in just a second. I'll get your thoughts here in just a sec. And then obviously the Mountain West, obviously representing that would be Boise State. So wanted to get your take out. Oh yeah, and the ACC, I think it's going to be SMU and Miami. I think that's kind of clear as well. So rounding out, Kev, what do you think of the bracket, and do you like it, or do you see it changing after the last week of the season?
Yeah, well, the bracket, of course, is going to be different. Like, just look at the games that were played on Saturday and all the upsets. Alabama lost, Colorado lost, BYU lost, Indiana lost. It's wide open. And looking at these rankings and seeing it, some people have Arizona State at number 4. Who would have said that? Who would have actually thought Arizona State would make the playoff? First off, and then be good enough to get a bye. That's surprising to me. And yeah, you got your big players, of course. Oregon, I fully expect to gain no matter what. Ohio State, like those two, they are going to be there. I see Georgia being in there, Texas, Penn State, and got the Notre Dame shirt on, so I'm really hoping they also get in.
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking Boise State will definitely get in too, like, because well, with Army losing Notre Dame, that basically all but guarantees a spot for Boise State. And it's been a crazy week. The playoff committee is going to have a very tough job. It's 6 o'clock right now, so the official bracket has not been released yet. But it's Monday, actually. I just realized. So,
Yeah.
yeah, pardon me.
No, it's all right. The recording days people happen on Tuesdays, but we wanted to get this out just because
Yeah.
I haven't hit the camera in quite some time, so I wanted to get this out. But yeah, no, making to your point, Kev, is that I would honestly, it's interesting to me because obviously, Boise State being kind of the obvious one there. You obviously never heard of them, but then Austin Gentry have been kind of lighting up the scoreboard. One of the Heisman favorites,
Oh, yeah.
along with Travis Hunter and a couple other candidates there, a couple of deserving candidates there. But yeah, Boise State, yeah, no, it's not really odd to see them there, but obviously in the Mountain West, obviously getting some love, getting into the committee, with that kind of letting everybody kind of know that the committee, obviously, I don't really want to say anything bad about the committee, but obviously everyone last year kind of was a little ticked off, obviously
Yeah,
a
for
little
sure.
ticked off about a certain school that got in and a certain school that didn't get in. But we're not gonna mention any of that because the committee is always right. Everyone knows this, right? But um no, but you said something. You said a team, Alabama, three
Alabama, yeah.
losses, three losses. If they get in, some magical way they get in, some magical way. I don't know how it's gonna be, but you cannot give a 3-loss SEC team into the playoffs. I get it. It's Alabama. I get it.
Yep.
They've been a juggernaut for years. Everybody's been waiting for it. They finally hit their downfall. I understand. There's probably going to be first round picks coming out of this college class coming out. There's probably going to be first round picks. I understand that. But it's Alabama. They have not looked good. You cannot solidify one win. You cannot solidify even last year. I've been going back to last year. Yes, they had the SEC championship last year. Okay, I fully admit they got in because of that.
Yep.
But you're gonna pick them over. Yes, I understand. Not Jordan Davis. Jordan Travis got injured. Jordan Travis, the FSU got injured, and they were on their second string. And then eventually they would eventually they would go on their third string. I get it, and I really fought for FSU. Really wanted to see them in it because they were the ACC champs. They went undefeated. So they had an argument case. They even beat Alabama, or they beat a ranked team. They beat somebody, but their case was legitimate. Like, and I understand that. And I was one of the very, very few that got very, very, very upset that FSU did not get in. Now, come back to this year. Obviously, everyone has been saying maybe that was a little bit of a flawed. Yeah, everybody makes mistakes. I made a mistake. Yeah, but we're looking at this year. Again, I don't think Alabama deserves to be in. Not just saying that because I hate them. I'm not saying that because of biased reasons. I'm just saying that just because if you decide to put a 3-win team in and put an F2-loss team out, you have to kick out somebody. All those teams in the top 12 that we just named off, I think they all deserve to be there. Obviously, it's going to determine whether or not it's going to be interesting because the one team I think I'm interested to see is Texas. Now, this is when I say Texas, because A&M and Texas both face off. Scenario is both teams have a shot to play Georgia in Atlanta. So, with that being said, if Texas loses this game, they're out, I think. Oh no, they might be out. They might not be out. I'm not entirely sure. I don't think you're going to see A&M in it unless they win the SEC. So they have to go through Georgia, and they have to go through A&M. Oh, sorry, they have to go through Texas. Sorry. I don't know where the game is being played this week. I don't know if it's in A&M or at Connors Field, I should say, or if it's in Texas. I think home field will determine that. What do you think on this take, Kev? What do you think about A&M and Texas, and the winner faces Georgia?
Oh,
But,
well, it's a
but
huge game for both schools, of course.
mm-hmm.
A&M, they've like been there. They're like here. They're on the verge of breaking out, being elite, but their loss on Saturday that hurt them.
It did.
Like that absolutely hurt them. So if they beat Texas this coming Saturday,
Mm-hmm.
and they beat Georgia in the SEC championship,
Yeah,
then suddenly it's like,
it's a whole new
and
ball
that's
game.
justifiable to put a 3-loss team in if they win their conference, which I want to go back for a second and talk about Alabama. Alabama's 3 losses were to Tennessee, Vanderbilt, and Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee's good. Like most likely Tennessee will get in, and Tennessee's a good team. They're an actual good team this year. People aren't gonna look at that loss and say Alabama are frauds because of this. Vanderbilt, though, Nick Saban was quoted as saying, "Every place in the SEC is heard to play at their home stadium and win, except Vanderbilt." And Alabama lost to Vanderbilt. And then on Saturday, I don't know if Alabama decided to dress Alabama fans to play in that game, but they got humiliated by Oklahoma, who is a sub 500 team this year. So,
Yeah.
and unless Alabama somehow had a path to the SEC championship and won, in that sense, you cannot put a 3-loss team in the CFP.
Mm-mm.
The only way you can legitimately put a 3-loss team, regardless of conference, in the college football playoff is if they win their conference, which it seems like Alabama cannot do. So Alabama's done.
Mm-hmm.
And if I will say this, I'll say this: if Texas A&M beats Texas, and then if they go to Georgia and they beat Georgia, Texas A&M is going to win the national championship because that is 2 losses, two wins against great teams, and they would have all the momentum in the world.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's fascinating to me because you can even like admit that Alabama can't get in, which everyone's going to be very excited for. They're going to be bowl eligible. Don't get me wrong; they're bowl eligible. They're going to win their bowl game, whoever they face, maybe, and then their players are going to go off to the NFL. You know what? Good for them. Let it happen. So, and again, so with that kind of being said, we're going to turn our attention to another conference really quick before we continue on. We're going to turn to the Big 12. And another team I don't think anyone really wants to see is Colorado. So, again, non-biased here. I'm trying not to hate on Colorado. They have good players. Travis Hunter's probably going to win the Heisman, and I think Gentry's a little bit more deserving, but again, the two-way player, Travis Hunter, you can't really deny it. But and Shador's obviously. I mean, he's going to be the best quarterback in the class this year. So I believe he's the first draft committee to commit. Shador did come out and say he is going to declare for the draft. He did say that. So the number one quarterback coming out early and saying, I'm going to be going to the NFL next year. So it will be certainly interesting on there. But I wanted to talk to you about this, Kev. So the only way that Colorado has a legit case of getting to the CFP is a couple scenarios. I have a couple scenarios up. If BYU, Arizona State, Iowa State all lose, it would be Colorado, Baylor in the Big 12. If BYU, Arizona State lose, Colorado and Iowa State would be in the Big 12. If Iowa State, BYU loses, Arizona State, Colorado, which that's scenario. I would like that scenario if anything. But if only Arizona State, Iowa State lose, BYU and Colorado would face off. Okay. So here's the thing. I don't want any of this. I really don't want any of this. I want Arizona State. If anything, I want Arizona State, BYU. Those are the two teams I'm looking at right now. But again, I'm trying not to hate on Colorado because yes, it's Colorado. Everyone's going to be like, "Oh, it's the next Alabama, overrated," blah 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 blah. Again, I think they have two legitimate first round picks, top five picks. I mean, they're going to be good. Don't get me wrong. They have Travis Hunter and they have Shedeur Sanders, and then obviously they have Shiloh Sanders on the defensive side. Again, I really can't name another player, but again, Colorado, is it all hype? And I think it is all hype. I don't see Colorado getting in. Here's why. I don't know who they face next week, and I know it's somebody. I just don't remember who. But Colorado has to win that game. In all honesty, they lost to Kansas. Rack jaw, because that was a beautiful game to watch. I personally don't like Colorado, and I'll get your take here in a sec, Kev. What in do you think, or if you think, do you think Colorado has a legit shot? Again, we're going to think about this as NFL. You're going to think of your NFL team. You're going to think of a scenario of an NFL team making the playoffs. This has to go so well this week for Colorado. In one of those scenarios, Colorado needs one of those teams, or all three of those teams, or two teams to lose. That way, it's Colorado and blank in the Big 12. Then the worst fear is going to come along. Colorado wins the Big 12 for some miraculous reason, and they get in. But do you think the committee? Yeah, okay. So let's hypothetically say, let's do this. They lose if all four of those teams loses. I don't see them winning. I don't see them getting a path. That's also a scenario too. I don't think anyone has really thought of that scenario, but all four team losing, very rare, but I mean it does happen. If all four of them lose, I would honestly still put BYU and Arizona State in and put Colorado out. But again, it's the committee's final word. So I don't see them I don't see them having a path unless one of those scenarios I just read off happened. Or, again, do you make the argument for if all four of those teams lose, I still don't see them getting a path because I don't think they hold tiebreakers. I don't think they hold tiebreakers between Arizona. It might be the better conference record, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember I think they faced BYU. I think they won against BYU. I think they won against BYU. I'm not entirely sure, but I swear they won against one of those teams. They might have the tiebreaker over one of those teams. But I think, in all honesty, all reality, I think the Big 12 wants this. I think everyone wants to see Mr. BYU and Mr. Arizona State in the Big 12. I want to see it. I think you want to see it. What is your take on Colorado? I know I get it in the group chat. We and you both went back to back. We have to kind of think realistically, Kev. We have to think like non-biased here. What's your actual take on them?
All right, so Colorado, objectively, you can say they're good. They aren't great, they aren't elite, but they are good. And I'll admit, I was rooting for them to only win 4 games at the most this year, but they exceed my expectations. They've done well, so I'll give them props. Deion Sanders, he has really turned that program around. He's made it exciting to watch Colorado games, although losing Shedeur and Travis Hunter will hurt. And let's talk about Travis Hunter. He's going to win the Heisman. Mm-hmm. GNT is amazing. And like any other year, you could say GNT of Boise State, he's going to win it. But Travis Hunter, he's the Shohei Ohtani of football. He is doing something that you haven't seen in your lifetime. Travis Hunter, he's really good at receiver and he's really good at corner. So Travis Hunter, he will win the Heisman. Losing them two will hurt, but going to this year, and let's go to your scenario. All four of those teams lose. I mean, does a four-loss team play in the Big 12 championship regardless of who they are, regardless of who they lost to?
No.
And then, say somehow Colorado gets in the Big 12 championship and they win. I know what the rules for the CFP are, but looking at the bracket, you see these one-loss team, two-loss teams, and then you see a four-loss team in there. Well, that would look bad. That would look bad for them. So Colorado, they need a miracle on Saturday, which I don't see happening. Like they had their chance and they blew it. They absolutely should have beaten Kansas.
Yeah.
And they didn't, so I say Colorado does not deserve to be in the Big 12 championship, but if somehow they get in to the Big 12 championship, regardless of whether they win or everyone loses, I don't know all those tiebreakers off the top of my head. But if they get in the Big 12 championship and they win, then rules are rules. Good for them. Good luck to them.
Yeah.
I would not put any money on them winning the college football playoff
Yeah.
all the way.
Yeah.
But it will, like, this is going to be an exciting week to
Yeah.
watch college football regardless.
Yeah, because everything's wrapping up. All the teams going to be fighting for bowl games and all the other fun stuff. So obviously, we're gonna have some fun time with this. Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting to see about the college football season wrapping up very soon. Obviously, Army versus Navy coming up very soon as well. I don't know. I think I'm going to go Army in that one. Honestly, I don't see Navy pulling it off, but Army's been great all year. I think they're ranked 25 right now. I would have loved to see Army. Would have loved to see them in the even have them make a running in that CFP because it would be awesome to see
Yep,
independent.
I fully agree.
I know it would be so
Granted,
cool.
Army would have had to have beaten Notre Dame on
Oh,
Saturday,
I
which
think
they
I'm
wouldn't have done, but I will
it,
say this as a Notre Dame fan. If we lost to Army and Army got in the college football playoff, I would not have been mad.
nope.
I would have hopped on the Army bandwagon. Because a military school winning the national championship in this day and age would be pretty awesome to see, if
Yeah,
I'm being
yeah,
honest.
yeah. No, that would be. It would be. I think there would be like a minus like whatever like 2,000 or
The
whatever.
lowest possible odds,
Lowest of
minus
possible
one
odds.
million
Yep, minus one
at
million,
least.
and bet like $10 on them. You have the payouts insane. Probably would be at insane. But no,
100%.
honestly, no, honestly, it's gonna be cool. I think Army will be back. I think they're not done yet. I think they built the program to where I think they can win. Now, I think honestly, I think this season proved it. But no, being ranked, I see them even being ranked is just fascinating to me
Yeah. Yeah, it
because
really is.
it really is just because the rankings have changed so much this year. We've seen teams go up in the top 10. We see teams go down in the top 10. I mean, for 1 week, in the season, we had Alabama at 1, then they lost, so then they went down. So for all we know, Army's going to be back. I have a feeling Army's going to be back, but I think I'm going to go Army in that Army Navy game. So it's always a tradition. Army Navy, I think go Army that in this one. But yep. So we'll see this. We'll see this week. Obviously, our group chat will be semi-active about it. So we will see. Now, folks, I know we talked about college football for a little bit here. Time to get into the NFL this week. Obviously, there's still one more game to go as you guys are watching this. As I'm going to be reposting this video probably before the game. But going to Thursday night games, dogs are still barking. So this was referring to the Steelers-Browns game. I think everybody was shocked that the Browns pulled off the upset, Kev. So the Browns, yeah. I mean, getting a little bit into the Steelers' face here, kind of making a run, kind of making a little bit of a weird for that division going on between the Ravens and Steelers now. So Ravens have a legit shot of winning that division again. Your take on that game, Kev? Do you think it was shocking that the Browns did this? Do you think that Pittsburgh was off their game, obviously, this week? So speaking of, going into every single week looking like the old Pittsburgh Ben Roethlisberger Steelers, man. Like Le'Veon Bell, freaking Antonio Brown Steelers that everyone's been used to seeing. Obviously, Mike Tomlin going into the season. Obviously, you're always expecting a winning season out of that guy. Love Mike Tomlin. I think he's a great head coach. But yeah, Cleveland pulling off the upset and this against the Steelers. Your take on that game? What do you make of the Browns? What do you make of the Browns pulling off the upset?
All right, I will say this. The Cleveland Browns are a team that everyone can root for when anyone not named Deshaun Watson is their quarterback.
Yep.
And Jameis Winston is a likable dude. I've always liked the guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm rooting for Jameis to do well. So I'm glad the Browns won. I don't like the Steelers for personal reasons,
Yep.
but
Yep. Mm-hmm.
that is still surprising. Granted, it's the AFC North, and it seems like regardless of how AFC North teams are playing, you could have a 12-0 AFC North team playing an 0-12 AFC North team, and that game will still be competitive.
Yep.
It's something in the water of those respective cities in that division that whenever they see an AFC North opponent, they're like, I'm bringing my A game.
Yeah.
I am going to bust my tail off.
Yeah.
Because I want to
Even if
beat these
it's
guys. And the Browns winning, it was a blizzard, of course.
yeah.
Which personally I love watching snow games.
Yeah.
I think they're fun. I'd hate to be in attendance, but
Yeah.
that did play a factor. But I like I was saying, it's the AFC North. The Browns winning this is huge for them, and they could really keep up this momentum and carry it into next season because
Yes, sir.
the Browns are not going to do anything this season.
No.
As for the Steelers, this loss hurts for sure.
Mhm.
Always hurts losing a division rival. So the Steelers, and I'm pretty sure they have a really tough schedule for the rest of the year. So
Yeah. They got
we'll just
Casey.
have to see, are the Steelers legitimate or are they like frauds because they played a fairly easy schedule up to this point?
Yeah, because I think they have all their division games yet to play still. So I know they played the Ravens and Browns. So obviously we're going to see them again. We're going to see Ravens Browns. We're going to see Ravens Steelers again. I think we're going to see Browns Steelers because they got to play in Pittsburgh, and then obviously that other AFC North team right now. But yeah, no. It will be interesting down the stretch to see if the Steelers are legit. Let's see if Mr. Unlimited, Mr. Russell Wilson, can carry the team on the back again and continue to show off that he is still eligible to play quarterback in this league. Not having Justin Fields take over quite yet, but obviously making that decision halfway through the season does look good for them. And it looks like they're going to be riding into the playoffs. But as of what seed, yet to be determined because the Ravens are coming. The Ravens are coming for that division title. Yeah, not much to say about this game. Congratulations, Cleveland. Build off for next season. And hopefully it doesn't hurt the pick that you guys want in the draft. Moving on to this. I know, Kev, you don't want to talk about it, but we have to. The Lions keep rolling. And I know this is probably a hard subject, a little bit of a hard subject for you, and I understand that, but I had to keep it in there. 10-1, man. They just keep winning. They just keep winning. Dan Campbell has that. Dan Campbell is just he's a different breed, man. He has them rolling. A little bit of a hot take. I don't know why Jared Goff is not getting talked about being in the MVP conversation. Because it's been Lamar, Mahomes, Allen, Henry, which I'd be shocked if Mahomes won it. But again, it's the NFL, so whatever the voters vote, they're gonna do. So the Lions keep rolling 10-1 after a dominant win at their game. Kev, I have to say it. Are you scared? Are you finally scared of them?
For the first time in my life being a Packers fan, I've really gotten a football in 2012, which was around 2012, I should say. I mean, that was 12 years ago. I don't really remember it all that well, which is crazy to say. But anyway, yes, I am very intimidated by the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
The last time we recorded, I I was praising them. I
Mm-hmm.
don't like praising division rivals.
Nope.
I will say that I do not like it, but the Lions, they're legit.
Mm-hmm.
This, like, I hate saying this. I want to say, like, the Packers are the best team. The Packers are winning the Super Bowl. If we have to face Detroit in the playoffs, and it's most likely going to be in Detroit unless the Lions somehow
Yep.
lose, then, like,
Mm-hmm.
I would be scared. I
Yeah.
would be biting my nails that whole game.
Mm-hmm.
Detroit's scary. They
We'll be.
lost Aiden Hutchinson, who you could argue is a top 5 edge rusher,
Yep.
and they haven't missed a beat. Like, this is a terrifying football team who I do not want to play for the rest of the regular season, but unfortunately, we have to next week.
Oh boy.
And in the playoffs, I especially not want to see them.
Yeah.
I would almost say just if the choices are us winning and face them in the playoffs, then just lose our playoff game because I'm scared to face the
I am.
Lions. The
I.
Lions are arguably the best team in the
Yeah.
NFL, and
Yeah.
this is by far their best chance to win the Super Bowl. I never thought I would put Lions and Super Bowl in the same sentence
Nope.
and have win the Super Bowl in between those words. And they are legit.
Yeah.
They're terrifying.
And yeah, no, it is very scary to see. And we're right there with you. In 3 weeks, the Bills and the Lions face off. So two top teams facing off once again. Nothing is ever easy in Buffalo. But
Yep.
going to the AFC side with me and the Bills side of it, I'm right there with you. I'd no, well actually no, I'm not right there with you because they would have to face in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Do I want a
Potential Super
Lions
Bowl potential Super
pre
Bowl preview coming
preview?
up.
Yep.
Bills Lions.
So would I rather lose in the regular season or lose in the Super Bowl? I'll take a regular season loss any day of the week.
Oh,
I'm
for
scared for
sure.
I am scared for that game. That game is going to be scary. They're going to be flying. They're going to be going. And again, no credit to them. No credit to the Bills. Yes, 9-2 coming off. We're going. We're coming. San Francisco's coming to town, and San Francisco hasn't looked too hot. We don't know about Brock Purdy's status. I know you're going to be happy about that. Brock Purdy's status. Never know. Everything else, everything else we don't know. Everything else is just everything's up in the air right now. So again, would I take a regular season loss over the Lions? Just give it to them because you're gonna go into the playoffs I would rather go all the way into the playoffs, win the AFC championship game, and then meet them in the Super Bowl and then beat them in the Super Bowl. That would be your revenge game. Go out, do as best as you can. Again, I'm not giving my take on Bills, Lions, who's going to win that week. We're going to have to, listen, these next 2 weeks can go slowly as possible because I am not ready for that game. I know this week you want to make sure this week goes slowly for you too. So, slow as possible. Take your time. Go to San Francisco. Play against San Francisco. Go to LA. Play in LA, and then we have to go in Detroit. So, yeah, these next 2 weeks, let them go slow. Let them go slow. Let the Lions be the Lions. Let them be the Lions until that week. So yeah, I'm not happy about that. But no, Lions doing well, and I've always had a soft spot for the Lions, but you already know the story. I used to watch the Lions growing up, but I never liked them, but always have a soft spot because obviously Buffalo and the Lions always have a connection. Ralph Wilson, their owner, they, combine forces. Detroit has a little bit of Buffalo in them as well because, Ralph Wilson was from Detroit, I believe, and they started together, and Buffalo and Detroit always have a good history with each other. So always good to see those two franchises mentioned in the same room. Going on to speaking of the AFC and the AFC East, the Finns are not out of the water just yet, Kev. The Finns on a 3-game winning streak after Tua came back. Well, yeah, after the Bills, they lost to the Bills, they've been on a 3-game winning streak. Tua having another good game. Obviously, the offense keeps rolling, but there is another team that we're going to be talking about later on in the show. Here in a little bit here, Finns winning 3 in a row. You shocked about this? You kind of not shocked about this? Since ever since Tua came back, he hasn't looked good against us. I thought they would. I legit thought they were going to beat us because of what Tua was doing in that game. They're out there on the outside looking in right now. They got to keep winning. Again, they have to make sure, and even in order for them to even to get in, they got to win out, I think. But they have to have the Broncos lose at least a little bit because the Broncos are holding on to that last seed. But they ain't giving that. I don't think they're giving up that. Again, we're going to get to them in just a minute. Broncos ain't giving up that last seed any easily. What is your take on the Finns, and do you see them actually making a case for the last seed? Which, again, I might not want because that is a Bills-Dolphins playoff game once again in Buffalo, probably going to be in the snow. Don't want that happening because if the Dolphins are like this and they go into the playoffs like how they've been doing, it's going to be another nail biter with another nail biter. But what do you think of the Finns going on for the on the run that they're going on right now?
Well, let's look at Miami this way. They need everything in order to be a dominant offense. They need a healthy Tua. They need a run game. Achane and Mostert. Doesn't matter who you have back there. They're both really good.
Mm-hmm.
Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. With Tua under center for Miami, they're a dangerous team to face. With Tua, you can have your opinions about him. You can call him turned up ball over, or like say he's not that good. He's a product of his offense, but when Tua is healthy, that offense is terrifying to face.
Absolutely.
And Miami, they absolutely could sneak into the playoffs as the 7th seed. Now you're saying Dolphins, Bills, but we don't know what's going to happen. For all we know, the Bills could win the AFC in general, the top seed. I'm pretty sure Kansas City has a very soft schedule, so yeah, I'm pretty sure we're talking about them though, so I will reserve my thoughts for that. But Miami, if Miami gets hot, they're a team that you kind of don't want to face. And funny enough, the Packers are going to play the Dolphins. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm almost.
This isn't it Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving. Packers, Dolphins, yeah.
Go Pack, go.
I know we beat them in the Christmas game, so
go Pack,
I'm
go.
hoping we do that again, but I would hate to. I do not want to face Miami when they catch fire because their defense is shaky, but their offense, when their offense is clicking, they are terrifying. And like I said, I can see Miami easily getting that final wild card spot and being a potential dark horse in the AFC.
Yeah. Not much to say about Miami here, so we'll see about down the stretch to see how they act with the rest of their schedule. But going to a team that has shocked probably in an NFL world, probably team has been written off for the season, but they want to play spoiler. Titans rise again. This is referring to the shocking defeat of the Texans losing to the Titans. Man, if you're a Texans fan, I feel so bad for you right now. I can't believe we still lost to them. But that was that game. The Super Bowl favorite Texans, Kev. May I add, the beginning of the season, I think Super Bowl favorite Texans with a healthy Stephon Diggs, with a healthy Tank Dell, Nico Collins, and Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon, arguably, probably a top running back in this league. Tank Dell, he's a tank. Ha, no pun intended. Nico Collins, probably a top 5 receiver in my opinion. And then obviously you got CJ Stroud under center. This is one the Titans. This is the one the Titans were just on their game. I don't know what's going on with the Texans right now. They're kind of slipping a little bit here. I don't think the Colts have a legit shot at the title. But again, if the Texans keep losing, who knows? Who knows? Maybe Indianapolis sneaks in as the division winner. I don't know. But Texans, man, what is going on with them? I mean, obviously we'll talk about the Titans here in just a sec. Titans were on their game, man. And Texans, they needed to get this one. They needed this one. Now, in your opinion, Kev, overrated or just off their game? What do you think of this weird loss to them?
All right, so obviously, like you were saying, the Texans were arguably Super Bowl contenders in the preseason. Some people, especially after they got Diggs, people were saying that is a scary team. You don't want to face them.
Mm-hmm.
However, I will say this: the Packers and Texans faced each other, and the Packers won that game. And I think that exposed the Texans' biggest weakness. You pressure Stroud crumbles. And I feel like teams watched the film from the game against the Packers, and they have been adopting that. And the Texans lost against Tennessee. That's a game you gotta have. Houston should still win the AFC South.
Oh
Like
yeah.
that's a fairly weak division. They should still win it, but you do want to beat the weaker teams in your division.
Mm-hmm.
Because losing it, it's like you lost to a weak team, but that weak team is also your division rival.
Mm-hmm.
That hurts. Of course, Houston losing Stephon Diggs hurts for sure.
Oh yeah.
He was not putting up number one receiver numbers at all.
No.
No one's gonna try to argue that, but having Nico Collins, Tank Dell, and Stephon Diggs on the field at the same time, that made defenses really think, that may have confused defenses. That's a big loss for Houston.
Yeah.
So what I will say is I think Houston was a bit overrated
Okay. Okay.
because Stroud was just unreal last year
Oh yeah.
in his rookie year. No one expected that. People thought, hey, CJ Stroud could be good someday, but no one thought he
No.
would produce results year one. And
Yeah.
when you're a rookie quarterback in the NFL and you produce in year one, your expectations in year two, they go up here.
Yep.
You're expected to play at an MVP level, and that may have gotten to Stroud. And it's like I was saying against the Packers, you just pressure Stroud, and Stroud crumbles.
Mm-hmm.
And Tennessee, they aren't making the playoffs, but Tennessee, they're a team that can play spoiler.
Mm-hmm.
They're good enough to where they can easily play spoiler. We saw it in the game against Houston, so watch out for Tennessee, especially if you're a playoff contender and you have them coming up on your schedule.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's something that that's something. But speaking of spoilers, we almost had the biggest one, I think almost going to be tied for the biggest one in the NFL. KC bounces back. Question mark. Okay, they won, but against the Panthers. I don't really have much to say about this. I still, obviously everyone knows it's gonna happen. They're gonna be in the Super Bowl. No, they're they might be in the Super Bowl. They might not be, but I think teams are kind of figuring them out now. Obviously, they have had a 9-0 start. A 9-0 start. Obviously, we've seen it with the Steelers very recently. But 9-0 faces Buffalo. Obviously, everyone knew how that game went.
Yep.
But the justifying of 9 wins, man, they could easily, I think, in my opinion, I think they easily could be with the Chargers right now in with the division going in. I think they still face each other I think they face each other one last time too. So, Casey, going to your schedule, I think they face the Steelers and I think they face the Chargers. Both very 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 going to be interesting games to watch because the Steelers obviously they've had that fluke. They had that little bit of a weird loss to the Browns. Okay. But again, Chargers, they're fighting for that playoff spot too. They're number 5 right now for the seed. They're the 5th seed. Okay, you're right. Everyone knows 5th seed. You're right in the middle. No, we'll be facing the 4 seed no matter what. But again, they're fighting for seeding. They're going to be fighting for seeding. So the Chargers are going to be going. I think they're. Wait, are they going into Arrowhead? No, I think they're going into LA. No, they faced each other already, didn't they? I think it's in Arrowhead. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be an Arrowhead
No.
in Kansas City.
I think it's in Arrowhead. Yeah, I think it's in Arrowhead. But obviously, you still got those 2 games to go. Chargers are riding high right now with Jim Harbaugh, which we'll get into obviously little bit later. But they're going into this as, hey, listen, maybe we have a legit shot if we keep winning, and if we face KC, and if the Steelers beat KC, they have a legit shot, mate. I think, in my opinion, they beat KC. Obviously, KC does have the tiebreaker over them, but if they beat KC and KC loses one more game, they have a legit shot at the division. But again, it's KC. KC's not going to give up easily. KC had an interesting game, I think, in my opinion, Kev. They almost lost to the Panthers, which arguably is going to be a top 5 pick this year in the draft. No questions asked, I think. I don't know, Kev. I don't know. I don't know what to say about this win. Was it okay, it was a bounce back game. You won in overtime. You won by a field goal. We've seen these close games before by them. They had all the reason in the world to lose every single game. Again, there was a couple mishaps during the games that they won. I'm not gonna say anything on that one. But what do you think? What do you think of this? What do you think of this win or bounce back game, I should say? What do you say? What do you think? Do you think it's them kind of, I think it's the NFL kind of, or the NFL teams finally saying, we can get this. We can actually beat them. Or do you think they can or do you think they're going to keep winning? What do you say on this team right now? Like I said, I don't have a lot to say about this win as much as I did about the previous wins. After they, I don't know, exposed, you should say, against the Bills. They got exposed, air quotes. Again, it's not the Bill. Again, wasn't an exposed win, air quotes, I should say, but they figured them out. What do you think? Do you think teams are finally realizing we have a chance to beat them after what Carolina has done? Carolina stuck in there, and all props in the world to Carolina. They did everything they could. They tried to stop them. Obviously, Carolina's defense, they tried. And hats off to Carolina. Hat off to Carolina. Everyone can tip their caps to Carolina for trying. And they stuck in there, Kev. I think this is something to build on, nothing to hang your head against. Obviously, yeah, losing in overtime, no one ever wants to see. But I think Carolina can build momentum off of this, saying, hey, we stuck toe to toe with the juggernaut of the NFL, a potential three-peat. What do you make of this? Like, this is kind of an interesting game.
You know what? Yeah, it is an interesting game for sure. Now, bounce back depends on what your definition of a bounce back is. You lose a game, you lose a very tough, hard fought game, and then you win the next game. Yeah, you could say it's a bounce back, but my definition of bounce back for the expectations you have for Kansas City, this should not have been a close game. It should have been over in the second quarter. And I will say this, what's separating this Kansas City team from the previous teams, despite Kansas City having a 10-1 record, which that's good in the NFL. 17 games, 10-1, you're all but guaranteed a playoff spot. Patrick Mahomes looks human. He is not playing on a Superman level this year. I don't know what's going on, but I don't know if it's teams figuring out Patrick Mahomes and scheming against him, if Mahomes is just off his game, but Kansas City, they do not look like a team gunning for a three-peat. I'll say that.
No.
If they did not win the previous 2 Super Bowls, then you'd think maybe Kansas City could get there, but they don't look all that good. And I'll say that they're 10-1, yes, but they don't look all that good.
No.
And now talking about Carolina, they're rebuilding. No one's gonna try to argue otherwise. And it's like you were saying, they went toe to toe with Kansas City, who are the back-to-back Super Bowl champs. Regardless of how this year finishes out, they won back-to-back Super Bowls, which is very impressive in the NFL. This is a huge game for Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Carolina, they just need to keep building.
Yeah, exactly.
They keep building. They get the right people in the right places. They develop their players well. Carolina could be back.
Yeah.
But as for Kansas City, they do. I I mean, the playoffs are a whole different animal.
Mm-hmm.
I'll admit that. Anything can happen in the playoffs. I will say this right now, live on live stream. Kansas City is not going to win the Super Bowl this year. It
Okay.
will be at anyone but Kansas City.
Alrighty, 11:25 at almost 7 o'clock. You hear to hear, folks. I will play back this clip if I need to for them.
Yes, play this clip back.
Mm-hmm.
If
And
Kansas City wins the Super Bowl, play this clip back of
I'll let
me
you.
guaranteeing they aren't going to win the Super
I will.
Bowl.
I will personally. You will deserve a good handshake from me if this happens. Yeah. Again, something to build off of. Something to not hang your head against Carolina. You got this. I believe in you. Whoever comes in next during the draft, again, top 5 pick, I think, in my opinion. Whoever comes in, hopefully, it'll make another impact for you. Don't hang your head too low, guys. Alrighty, to the segment I wanted to get to all this time. Yeah, here we
go.
them, yeah, this is a weird, interesting game. Dallas should not have won it. And then that's a hard take. But I think Commanders shot themselves in the foot. I don't know. I don't know, Kev. I don't know what to say. They're not. They're not making playoffs. I can already guarantee you that they're not. They're not winning the division. I don't think. Commanders. I think. Again, they shot themselves in the foot a little bit after a couple questionable calls. Terry McLaurin, that 82-yard touchdown to almost tie the game. Air quotes. We'll talk about that in just a sec. God, I legit think they were going to win. I thought they were going to go into overtime and they were going to win it. They missed the PAT. And then now some of them are thinking, why don't you just go for 2? Dan Quinn was thinking, let's just end it. Screw it. Let's just end it. I think being the aggressiveness that Dan Quinn has, and the aggression that he has, I thought they were going to go for 2. I really thought they didn't want to go into overtime against Dallas. Again, Dallas. No, I don't believe this win in whatsoever. I really don't. You almost blew. I shouldn't say almost blew it. You had their number, I think, in my opinion, at some points in this game. The Commanders didn't really look like the Commanders of what we've been seeing lately. It was a tough one. It's a tough one, but yeah, it's interesting to say. It's interesting to say, Kev. Yeah, here we go. It's not back. It's not fully back, but a good win. That's all I can say to this one. What do you think?
I mean, I'll admit I did not watch this game between Cowboys and Commanders, nor did I watch the highlights. But on paper, the Commanders should have walked away with this game easily.
Mm-hmm.
They finally have expectations.
Mm-hmm.
People are finally thinking, is Washington a team that we can take seriously? And they go and lose a game like this to show that they're still Washington.
Yeah.
That this is a humiliating loss for the Commanders.
Yeah, it is.
That you cannot, even if Dak were healthy, Dallas has not been Dallas this year.
Nope, not at all.
Dallas, and by Dallas, I mean doing good in the regular season, choking the playoffs. They have not been the same team this year.
No.
It's a good win for Dallas. Props to them. Props to Cooper Rush, right? He was the QB.
He was the quarterback, yep.
Yeah, props to him. Props to Dallas. Dallas showed up to play, and Washington didn't.
Yep.
This is a big loss for Washington. It does not matter for Dallas. They aren't going to go anywhere this year.
Yep.
Best thing to hope for is Ashton GNT from Boise State.
Yep.
And try to rebuild that offensive line and try again next year. Washington, though, this loss hurts them.
I don't think Dallas
this is an embarrassing loss for Washington.
I don't think
they should have lost this game. Suddenly, Washington is not viewed as a threat.
Yep.
You could argue maybe Washington is where they're at because of they played a soft schedule. Washington, they don't seem like a legitimate team that scares me.
The reason why I'm laughing so much is because you said Andre Gentry to Dallas. If he does not go to Dallas, I think we're not going to have a Dallas city anymore in Texas anymore, folks. People are begging for him to go to Dallas. If he's not a Dallas Cowboy by the end of the year, by the beginning of the next year, I don't think Dallas is going to be a city anymore, and Jerry Jones is going to be on a stake. I really think so. Like, I'm almost afraid to when I do mock draft season. I'm almost afraid not to put him on there because I think I'm just going to mock him every time to Dallas, and that's it. Like, I'm not going to touch it because that is I think that's like that's like a number one pick going. Like, you know who the solidified number one is.
Oh, of
That's like a
course.
solidified like a solidified pick. I think Austin Gentry to the Dallas Cowboys is another solidified pick, and they're not going to be picking in the top 10. They're no, they're going to be picking in the top 10, I think, but they're not going to be picking number one. And even if there's been rumors that they might make a move for Shador. I'm like, if that happens, the entire NFL is going to be out of whack because where's Dak going? What happened to what's going on with Dak? What's going on there? Dallas is going to, I think Dallas is the team. Watch out because they're going to make some changes coming very, very, very soon. I think it starts with the draft, but again, another hot take. I think they let Parsons walk. I don't see them. I don't. I
Really?
you paid CD. You paid your quarterback. You paid CD. Those are your two. But are you going to let your number one defender leave? I don't know if they paid Trayvon yet, but Trayvon's been hurt a lot. What do you say? What do you say about Mr. Michael Parsons probably walking? But again, they have a lot of needs. That's where this comes in, though, Kev. They have a lot of needs. Do you look in the draft? Obviously, everyone wants to look in the draft. Everyone wants to look in the draft, and everyone's doing that. So, yeah, give me, yeah. So we'll see, we'll see about. So, yeah, no, it's gonna be interesting to see what Dallas comes to there, Kev. So, obviously, we're gonna be wrapping up the segment soon here, guys. So, we're gonna fly through these here, not to rush anything, but always love talking with Kev here. But
Appreciate
well,
it.
yep. All right, wrapping up these last two segments, Kev. Broncos country, let's ride. Broncos riding high at 7-5, I believe. Last seed in the playoffs, we talked about them and we just talked about them. I mean,
Yeah.
Bo Nix arguably looking right up there with Jaden Daniels as a top QB in this draft class. We're not mentioning number one overall, so he doesn't deserve the spotlight. Bo Nix bringing his team to 7-5. We possibly might see a rookie QB along with Jaden Daniels. We'll see in the playoffs. What do you think of the Broncos season so far there, Kev? Broncos country, let's ride, or Broncos country, let's cry? What do you think they're going to be at the end of the season?
Well, regardless, this is a great year for Denver.
Mm-hmm.
They're in playoff spot right now. Bo Nix looks really good. And with the whole Russell Wilson fiasco, putting that behind them and then immediately being playoff contenders, that's huge for Denver.
Yep.
Frankly, I'm rooting for them. I've always had a bit of a soft spot for Denver.
Me too.
So I like seeing Denver doing well.
Yeah.
I say this is absolutely Broncos country. Let's ride.
All right. Me too.
Bo Nix, he seems like he's gonna be a great quarterback,
Yeah.
and watching his post game interviews, he seems like a genuinely good dude.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Absolutely.
so you can't root against the guy.
No, not at
Yeah, I
all.
like him. Sean Payton, I have my opinions about him that I will not express when we don't have a lot of time into. I would spend a lot of time on Sean Payton, but
Yep.
he's done a good job turning around the Broncos. So
Yep.
Denver, watch out for them. They are a team that I can see playing spoiler in the playoffs for sure.
Yes. Yes, sir. And yeah, so we'll see. Bo Nix, I believe, has a legit case for rookie of the year as well. Last but not least, Kev, I call you my brother. We call all of our group chat our brothers. You are my golf brother as well, but none other. But this is blood brother, brother versus brother. This is a preview of tonight's game, folks. Like I said, we'll see what the Brother Bowl has. Jim versus John, Chargers and Ravens. Ravens last week didn't look good at all to me, I think, in my opinion. I went Chargers in this one in our predictions, Kev. I don't know what you went, but I went Chargers just because of the way that's the way that Jim's turning the team around. You're sitting at you're sitting at I think like 7-3. I think I'm not
Yeah,
entirely
seven
sure.
and three they are
Yes, you're sitting at
currently.
7-3 currently. I mean, like I said, I think they have a legit shot at probably winning the division if KC coming down. But you got to win against your. This is 2.0. Show that you can beat little brother, but little brother has the upper hand in this game, so that's why you give the edge to Mr. Johnny Boy over there in Baltimore. But it's gonna be a good game tonight. I'm gonna be watching it, so I'm gonna be flipping back and forth. So your take on the Brother Bowl?
Well, I want to say this. It's nice to have the Harbaugh Bowl back.
Yes, sir.
Like, when Jim was in San Francisco, John in Baltimore, I hope I got them both right, like, of where they were. Like, that
Yeah.
was always fun, especially when they played in the Super Bowl. That was pretty exciting to watch of this story. They are both high quality head coaches. There are guys where, as a Packers fan, if I could not keep Matt LaFleur, I'd want one of them as my head coach. They're both likable dudes,
Yep.
and this could be a potential AFC Championship preview.
It could be. Yes, it actually very well could be.
The Chargers, what Jim Harbaugh has done in Los Angeles, they should still be San Diego in my opinion. But
Yes.
anyway,
Mm-hmm.
what he's done, it's impressive.
Yes, sir.
How he has turned around the Chargers franchise.
Yes, sir.
This should be a fun game to watch, regardless of who you're a fan of.
Yep.
This game tonight should be a blast.
Yes,
And
sir.
like I said, potential AFC Championship preview.
I like the hot take.
And regardless of when there are two brothers facing off, whether they're players or coaches, it's always fun. It adds an extra element to the game,
Yes, sir.
which just makes it a lot more fun to watch.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But wanted to wrap that up with the Brother Bowl, but with my brother Kevin. We want to make sure I want to thank you, Kev, for coming out on the show today. And again, folks, apologize for the uploads. Like I said weekly, but stuff came up with life, and I'm back. I'm back now. So stuff to come later on in the season. Obviously, at the end of the season, we're gonna get into next week as well. But I wanted to thank everybody. Kevin, thank you again for coming on with me today. And I will see all of you on the sidelines in the next video. Have a great night, everybody.